Hey there and welcome. I'm Cindy Daychuk with Queen Bee Creations. Thanks for tuning in. I invite you to hit subscribe. Keep us coming at you. If you're already subscribed, thanks. I appreciate you. Today we are going to make over this little tiny thrifted tray. Nothing amazing about it right now. It's perfectly functional, but kind of boring. I don't know about you, but I still have a bunch of entertaining left to do. So I was thinking about zhuzhing this up a little bit and making it a little bit more entertainment worthy. I'm not doing this for any particular holiday. I'm just looking at doing this up so that it is perfect for any function that I may have, whether I use it as a serving tray because it's got the lovely handles, or I'm using it on a buffet, or I'm putting it up on risers, whatever I happen to be doing. If you missed this story, broken finger, so we're going to see this in a number of videos until it gets healed. It may go longer than that. I mean, it's still all swollen and bruised and kind of gross. May require surgery, so it may be hanging in longer than I would like. All right, so we are going to actually with this be doing some paint inlays. I think that there's still a big hesitation with a lot of people about these. So I get a lot of requests for more videos using them. All right, so this is just water into my little black dress because it's getting pretty thick. And I have this because I need it for the inlays, but you know, I need it for here. So I am just using black. We are doing, again, with the inlays, I got a lot of people asking, how do they look? Everybody uses them on light colors. How do they look on dark colors? So we are going to go the darkest color possible. I listen to you guys. What is it that you'd like to see or learn or do? So for those of you that have wondered, I mean, I did the inlays. No, I didn't do the inlays. I did some transfers on bare wood to show you. Now we're kind of going the opposite direction, right? You could do the transfers onto black if you prefer, but we're going to give the inlays a try. So I'm just going to continue getting this whole thing painted black, and I'm actually going to do 2 coats on all the outside edge, but I'm going to save the second coat in the middle until we're back together because I want to use that paint with the inlay. So I'll come back when we're at that point because you guys know what painting looks like and you don't need to see more of it. Okay, this is ready to go. I am going to be using the Paradise paint inlay. I think that these colors are going to pop really nicely against the black. We'll see. The first thing that I need to do though is I need to plan. So my inlay is wider and shorter than I need for my project. So what I need to do is I want this to go edge to edge. And if you notice, there's like a small border around it. So I'm going to cut the border off, and I'm going to cut this down to the width that I need once that border is done. It does have beautiful grid lines on the back to be able to help me do that a little straighter. And then I am going to take the next piece, line it up, and cut off the little bottom border that I need. And again, I want to make sure that there's no lip on this. So I have to take off that top edge to make sure that when I lay it against this, I can butt the 2 painted edges up nice and tight. I don't want to overlay that border over top of the border because then I'm going to have that big line running through my piece. So all it means is that I got a little bit of trimming to do, and then this will be ready for me to get going. So I just need to get rid of my borders first, and then I can do my measuring. I have my inlay cut down. The only thing that you need to do before you start cutting it, especially if you're going widthwise, is bear in mind that you're going to be putting it face down on your project and kind of decide when you're cutting what parts you're going to be cutting off. So, meaning I cut a little bit off of this edge instead of this edge because then I get a little bit more of that bird showing rather than just having a little tiny piece of head or beak, and I had more of this bird being able to show so that it doesn't look weird. They still look like birds. Does that make sense? So the other thing is these work differently than the transfers. The transfers you are going to lay onto your piece, you're gonna rub, and they remove from the backing, and then you're done. These are actual paint. This is artist grade paint that is laid onto the carrier paper, right? The paper that just carries the paint. So we need to put them into a wet surface, whether it is your top coat or whether it is your paint. And then it embeds down into that so that when we do finally release that paper, we're leaving actual paint behind. So cool. So it's all a painted surface. We don't have kind of that plastic from the transfer. The other advantage is that, you know, the transfers are single use. When you've transferred onto something, you're done. That's it. Whereas these, you'll see when I pull it off that there will still be paint left on this. It's gonna, so I have more uses. I can use the sheets again 2-3 times, depending upon how much paint was released the first time. And each use, it gets more and more faded. So this is gonna be like a major design because it's gonna have the most paint in it, but other uses, I can use them for backgrounds and more faded looks, and so cool. Now, for this, we wanna do a couple of things. I'm gonna be embedding them into paint this time. I have some other videos showing, and I'll link maybe to the little 6-drawer dresser I did where I embedded it into top coat. And this, you just want to make sure that you have enough paint. You don't want it to be gloppy, but you definitely want your surface to be wet so that your paint can sit down into it. Now, when I'm doing a full big sheet like this, so that I don't agonize over whether or not it's wet, I like to get it lined up at the beginning so that if I'm futzing, it's just at the very start, and then I will slowly lay it down. It just really depends. You know, sometimes dressers are a little bit more awkward. Just doing what we need to get it down on. And I'm making sure that I get those little edges so that my pattern goes, ideally, edge to edge. We'll see how I do when we reveal it, which is always the exciting part of any project, is it not? So, now we're gonna lay this sheet down pretty much entirely, and I'm gonna get this last bit of paint added. So that I can get this sheet down, and then I can take my little pieces and match them up. Okay, awesome, looks good. Now, once we have that down, we want to kind of activate that paint. It's getting wet from my black paint, but we want to kind of ensure that it's going to merge with the underlying paint. So we're going to kind of lightly mist it, and then I like to take a roller to kind of make sure that I'm embedding it down in. Wherever it's not in contact with the paint, it's not going to release, right? So, one-handed. Okay, stop spritzing. Stop. Stop. Don't turn it towards your face. All right, that was too much water. We'll see how that does. Now, I can't get out to my edges with this, so I am going to take just a little rubber scraper tool, and I'm just gonna push those final edges right down in, just so that I get that pattern going, ideally right to the edge. Make sure you don't tear your paper, but we're just kind of lightly pressing it down in. And then we leave this to dry. So you'll see the paper become kind of that opaque look again, and that's when it's ready. We don't have to wait, but because I'm putting it into DIY paint, which is kind of reactivated with water, I mean, I could wait for this to be fully dry. I could leave it for a day. Other paints that maybe have a built-in top coat, man, you can't leave that until the paint is fully cured or your paper sticks. So ideally, just wait till your paper looks dry and then you're good to go. This is damp. It's not perfectly dry. I got black paint on top. I made a mess of this. So we'll see together how it turns out. But here's the thing, this is just before Christmas. I'm going home. So I would rather leave it drying for me to come back after Christmas and sand it and finish it with you. I mean, it's all gonna be the same video for you, but I don't wanna walk away and leave this forever. So we'll see what being impatient does. So what we need to do is we need to re-moisten, and just because this spritzer just keeps on going, I'm trying to do little bursts here. So we need to re-moisten our carrier paper, and in essence that kind of, let me get it wet before I start talking and stop anything. So in essence what we're doing is, as we moisten that carrier paper, we are kind of reactivating that top layer of the paint that's on the carrier paper, so then it will release the paper, right? That's the idea, and that's what we're after. So I'm just trying to, well, I was going to say lightly moisten this, but okay, I kind of drenched it. Well, we'll see how it works with that too. There you go. It's all about teaching lessons for you guys. So we want to leave that for, you know, not for a long time, maybe about 30 seconds, but just enough for the water to seep through the paper and kind of reactivate some of that top layer of paper. I've got this little edging. You know what, I go through so many wraps on this finger because it gets into everything. It ends up covered in paper, in paint, and that looks lovely. Okay, so this paper is still good. You can still see there's pattern on there. So you can put it off to the side to dry. Now, obviously, it has now picked up my black paint as well. So whatever I go to use it on in the next process, I'm also gonna get some of that black paint happening. So just an added bonus. All right, so we're just peeling this back. Oh, this is lovely and dramatic, isn't it? Awesome. Okay. Now, as I am covered in paint again, sorry, this folded in on itself, and I just want to leave it to dry flat. There we go. Ish, flat-ish. All right, so now, look at that. Okay, that's lovely on the black. So I'm gonna leave this to dry. It's gonna have a bunch of days since I'm gone. All right, now that this is all dry, I want to lightly sand it. I'm not really looking to distress it, but I do want it to be a smoother texture. So often, you know, paint after you have painted it has just kind of little light highs, just little paint, microscopic paint fragments that are sitting up. So lightly sanding it just kind of knocks those back so that whatever finish you add to it just makes it feel nice and smooth. So I'm going to lightly sand it. I'm going to wipe it back with a cloth, and then I'm going to apply my finish. And I am using Rust-Oleum Spar only because this is what I have on hand. I bought it for another project that I needed to be pretty waterproof. It was going to be a bathroom cabinet. So again, a lot of water splashing. This is designed for boats. So we know boats get wet. Perfect for use in the bathroom. It's kind of glossy. I see this as something that potentially could be used outside. It's going to be carrying drinks. They're going to be splashing. So because I have this, this is what I'm using. You could finish this with anything of your choosing. It could be wax. It could be a polyacrylic. If you're going to be using it outdoors, you could use, or you want it to be a little bit more waterproof, then you're going to be using maybe an outdoor acrylic sealer. So you could use multiple products. Just because I'm using this, that's expensive stuff, is only because I have it. And you guys know, I believe strongly, use what you got. I don't want that to go to waste, and I don't do a lot of bathroom cabinets. So I'm gonna use it on other projects that make sense to use it on. So with this, you're just going to apply it. You could apply it like any kind of varnish or acrylic top coat, big top, sealer from DIY. You can use a brush, you could use a sponge, but with DIY paint, I'm gonna get my glasses so I see what I'm doing, you're immediately going to see this kind of deepen and darken, and just those rich colors come through. Look how beauty. So I'm gonna put a coat on, let it dry, lightly sand, and probably do 2 coats on this. And then I'll come back at ya when it's done. I'm doing this, so if you've seen other videos, I have mentioned that I'm susceptible to migraines. So I'm doing this and then I'm leaving because it's stinky. So the shop gets a chance to be able to air out and I'm not triggering any migraines. I don't know if this would trigger one or not, but I don't want to take any chances. So it's kind of stinky. I'm just going to get it painted and then I'm going to leave. And when I go to do another coat, it would be, again, the last thing that I would do during the day. So I would do it at the end of the day so that, again, I would paint it and then leave the shop. And that's how I deal with stuff that has to be stinky when it's the winter and I can't just do it outside. If it was the summer, I would just open the big roll-up doors and let the fresh breeze in and take it from there.
Just wanted to pop on quickly and be able to give you the final update on this. You can see with that spar finish how glossy that ends up being. Now you could, if you wanted to use this so that it was sealed for outdoors, but you didn't like the gloss, then you could do this, then sand it, and then top it with a more matte finish. Like you could do wax over top of this now. But I quite like it with this pattern and with the black and that shiny finish because it seems almost like lacquer, right? It seems really bright. What I want you to take from this more than anything else is one, kind of the ease with which you're able to use the paint inlays. I know that they kind of scare a lot of people, but they're really quite easy to use. The difference too is that here we used one sheet and then a little piece from another. Here in Canada, they retail for about $66. So, you know, we're doing, there's 8 of them in there. So in essence, we're using an 1/8 of the pack, which maybe is about $8.50. Let's just say $9. The tray was $3 from the thrift store, and I maybe used $3 worth of paint and varnish. So you're looking at a pretty inexpensive project if you're doing it for yourself. Certainly if you're looking at reselling, you've got a reasonable price point in there, and it just looks adorable. Now you can also cut these pieces out. So, you know, maybe you want to just use this branch and, you know, another branch coming here, and you could cut them apart and have even the one sheet go even further because you're using it more judiciously rather than slapping the whole thing on there. Really your choice more than anything else. But I hope that it gives you an idea of really how easy this is. I hadn't used one over top of black. It's really quite stunning. I had been thinking that I might edge it in gold. So running, you know, an edging of maybe gold wax or, you know, a gold product around the side. I just decided to let the center be the star and not go for overkill. So I decided not to, but you could certainly bling it up a little bit more if you like. Let me know what you think of this one. Let me know if you've given the inlays a try or are working up some courage to doing that. Love to hear from you as always, and I look forward to seeing you on the next one. Until then, take care.